भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता शिविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योगा शिक्षार्थमेक पुरुष पुराण श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीरधारी कृपाम्बुधिर्यस्तमहं प्रपद्ये पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपा स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा हरि ओम तत्सत so let's share Hare Krishna Mataji. So chapter 2,
3 Prabhuji.
chapter 3.
We will start from 3.
Okay. Okay, we have to start from chapter 3. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for today's teachings of Lord Chaitanya class. Okay. We are reading chapter 3. Okay. Very good. So teachings to Sanatana Goswami. From the instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, we can understand the science of God as it relates to God's transcendental form, His opulences, and His devotional service. Indeed, everything will be explained to Sanatana Goswami by the Lord Himself. So just see the fortune of these 6 Goswamis and all those contemporary saintly personalities. They are relating or they are interacting directly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some know, some doesn't know. All these exalted personalities knows, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never accepted. When they used to, call your Lord Narayana himself, Lord Vishnu himself, listen on the immediately closest is no Vish. He'll say Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. He will closest is. He doesn't want to accept. Why? Why he doesn't want to accept that he is Lord Narayana himself? What is the reason? What is the reason?
He came in the form of devotee.
Yes, it's a Channa Avatara. It's a hidden Avatara. So he didn't want to. Actually, it is there in the scriptures, but it's not very open. That only very, very exalted devotees can make out. It is given in the Puranas also about his appearance, but it's not like an open book like. So the devotees have found out, and by these devotees only that we could make out that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself by quoting various Puranas, various scriptures. That time it was not, that very evident that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he has shown to many of the devotees that he is the Supreme Personality, especially the Mahaprakash Leela. In the Mahaprakash Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown to all his close associates that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Appearing as Narasimha, Kurma, Varaha, Lord Ramchandra, all these forms he has taken, and then that Shadbhuja form, everything he has taken. So all these devotees knows very well. Okay? But then again, sometimes he say, no, I'm just a bhakta only. So this is, just see their fortunate position, but they're all dealing directly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is how fortunate they are. Aho bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Rajokasham, Yanmitram Paramanandam, Purna Brahma Sanatanam. That's what Bhagavatam says. How fortunate are the inhabitants of Vraja, Vrindavana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna himself, is playing in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. All the inhabitants are directly relating and dealing with Supreme Personality of God. So like that here, all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially the Shad Goswamis and other saintly personalities, are very, very fortunate to have the darshan and interaction with the Supreme Personality of God himself. It's very, very fortunate. Now we are also very fortunate. Why? We cannot see him directly, but we can come to know, or we are coming to know, through the Guru Parambara system, through the bonafide Guru Parambara system. All that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done, everything has been recorded, and this has been reproduced. Whatever Leelas has been done by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his close associates, everything has been recorded and passed on to us by the six Goswamis. And more importantly, Prabhupada has given to us in a knowledge that is very simple for us to understand, with lot of translation, very clear-cut translation with quotation from different scriptures. So we are also fortunate. Although we are not having his directly Vapu, but the Vani is there. So we are also very fortunate. Even in this material world now, how many of them are bereft of this knowledge that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given? Hardly, if you see the percentage of the people that who knows about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, hardly anything, isn't it? It's limited only to Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Only after Prabhupada has come, it has spread. The glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spread far and wide. That also very, very few people knows about that. So we are uh, devotees from that circle who has at least come to know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami has been personally instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 2 continuous months in Varanasi. So first Sanatana fell at the feet of the Lord and with great humility asked about his own real identity. Such a scholarly personality, such a great philosopher. He's asking people, he is telling that people tells that we are all scholarly, but then I don't know my own personality. I don't know who am I. So that's what Sanatana Goswami says. So being scholarly also, they don't know their identity. So the first question asked by Sanatana Goswami is that with humility, it's not that, oh, I'm a scholar, I know just for, it's not a pretension. It's not a pretension. It is a real question that they're asking, isn't it? So this is what even, the scriptures also says, Athato Brahma Jitnyasa. Now that I have taken this human form of life, I have got this by some Sukriti, whatever it is, we have got this human form of life. Let me inquire about the supreme absolute truth, because only in human form we can inquire this. In other forms it is not possible. So we have to inquire who we are. So the same question is asked by Sanatana Goswami. His own real identity. I was born in a lower family. Sanatana said, my associations are all abominable and I am fallen, the most wretched of mankind. I am suffering in the dark well of material enjoyment, and I never learnt the actual goal of my life. Indeed, I do not even know what is beneficial for me. Although in the mundane sphere, I am what is known as a greatly learned man. I am in fact such a fool that I also think I am learned. You have accepted me as your servant, and you have delivered me from the entanglement of material life. Now please tell me what my duty is in this liberated state. So Sanatana Goswami is asking, although people call me as a learned person, but I am such a fool that I am also thinking that I am learned. See the humility they are exhibiting. They're all humility personified. Okay. You have, now that you have accepted me as your servant, okay, and you have delivered me from the entanglement of material. How? Because they were all working for the government of Nawab Hussain Shah, who was a Yavana, okay, who was a Muslim king, doing all sort of atrocities to other people, especially to the Hindu communities. Okay, they are all looting, destroying all the temples, killing all those who are not following their religion. So now he has got freed from his from that material entanglement, and he has now joined the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's what he says. Now please tell me what my duty is in this liberated state. He has been liberated from this material entanglement of Nawab Hussain Shah. Now please instruct me. How can I become, further progress? How can I further progress in spiritual path? This is his actual question is. So he's also confirming, he's also agreeing that my associations are all abominable, and I'm fallen, the most wretched of mankind. It is not just, just for, it's not coming from the mouth. It's not a lips statement. It is coming from the heart, from the core of the heart. Why? Because they know the real position. When we have taken the form of human being, what we are supposed to do. They know that knowledge they have, but they have not been doing that. So they very well accepted that what they were doing was all abominable. Now to come out of that, only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can help us or save us from this fallen condition. So from this plea, we can understand that liberation is not the final word in perfection. So why Prabhupada is telling, now please tell me what my duty is in the liberated state. So liberation is not the conclusion, or it's not the final state. So there must be activities in liberation, because he's asking what I should do in the liberated state. Sanatana clearly says, you have saved me from the entanglement of a material existence. Now, after liberation, what is my duty? Kindly explain it to me. Sanatana further inquired, who am I? Why are the threefold miseries always giving me trouble? And finally, please tell me how I can be relieved from this material entanglement. I do not know how to question you about advancement in spiritual life, but I beg that you kindly, mercifully let me know everything I should know. Actually, these are all questions that we are supposed to raise. So on our behalf, Sanatana Goswami has put forward these questions in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the process of accepting a spiritual master. One should approach a spiritual master, humbly submit to him, and then inquire from him about one's spiritual progress. So this is a lesson for all of us, that to know about ourselves, who we are, why we are undergoing the threefold miseries, why we are undergoing this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Who can help us? Only a bona fide spiritual master. So that is why even Krishna tells Arjuna that tadvidhi pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. So to know this, to have this spiritual understanding, one has to approach a bona fide spiritual master, surrender unto him, serve him submissively, inquire from him. Only then we'll get imparted the right knowledge, and we can slowly and gradually progress in our spiritual life. So this is the first lesson. If at all we are interested in knowing more about spirituality, more about our real existence, we have to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master. The Lord was pleased by Sanatana's submissive behavior, and he replied, you have already been blessed by Lord Krishna, and therefore you know everything and are free from all the miseries of material existence. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, he was very pleased to listen to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this question, and very submissive behavior. What he says, you have already been blessed by Lord Krishna, and therefore you know everything and are free from all miseries of mental existence. It's already on a liberated state, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also knows that Sanatana Goswami is not an ordinary person. He has been blessed by Lord Sri Krishna himself, because he is from the spiritual world. He has come here as Sanatana just to teach all of us, to guide all of us. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Shad Goswamis and all his associates are all acting a big drama. Acting in the sense they are living. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also living like a bhakta only, forgetting himself that is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sanatana and Rupa and other Goswamis are also mancharis and devotees and gopis and all from the spiritual world. They are also not acting but living as an ordinary being, so that we all get benefited from this. So it's all a arrangement by the Supreme Lord himself to deliver people in the age of Kali. So yet, even though due to your Krishna consciousness, you have naturally achieved the grace of Krishna and are thus already conversant with everything. Because you are a humble devotee, you are asking me to confirm what you have already realized. So this is the position of a pure devotee. They will never say that I am a pure devotee. They will be, very humble and ask questions. This is very nice. These are the characteristics of a true devotee. In the Naradiya Purana, it is said that by the grace of the Lord, one who is very serious about developing Krishna consciousness has a desire to understand Krishna fulfilled, very soon. Usually, in the material world, when we have some knowledge, immediately we want to exhibit that. See, I'm a big person. I know so much. I want to exhibit all my skills and knowledge in front of others. The person who is puffed up with material knowledge will want to show everything, exhibit. Only then he will get appreciation, adoration, and everything. He should be the person of center of attraction. So the pure devotee, even though they are liberated and they are very, very pure in their devotion, but still they says, I am the most fallen. And it is not something artificial they are telling, but it's coming from their heart. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also appreciating about Sanatana, because this is a symptom of a pure devotee. Even though you are on a liberated condition, you accept that you are the most fallen. So this is the real humility of all the saintly personality of God. They never say that I am a liberated person. I have seen Krishna and Radha face to face. I know just we are just like friends. See, I have seen, I am interacting like that. They will never have that. This is only a puffed up, purely materially oriented people will say. So that is not the symptom of a pure devotee. Pure devotee means humility personified, down to earth. So this is the symptom of pure devotee. So you are a suitable person to protect the devoted service of the Lord, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Okay. Therefore, it is my duty to instruct you in the science of God, and I will explain everything to you step by step. So this is a qualification one should have. I know everything. Okay. Will anybody teach me? No. Because when you have all the knowledge, why somebody should teach you? So here Sanatana Goswami is saying, I am just fallen. I don't know anything. Even I don't know my own identity. What to speak of something else? I don't know who am I. So this is the qualification to receive knowledge. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will say, now I will teach you, explain everything to you step by step. So it is the duty of a disciple to inquire about this constitutional position when approaching a spiritual master. In conformity to that spiritual process, Sanatana has already asked, what am I and why am I suffering from the threefold miseries? The threefold miseries are called Adhyatma, Adhibhautika, and Adidevika. The word Adhyatmika refers to those miseries caused by the body and mind. Sometimes the living entity suffers physically, and sometimes is distressed mentally. Both are Adhyatmika miseries. We experience these miseries even in the womb of our mother. In general, there are many types of miseries. that take advantage of the delicate human body and give us pain. Miseries inflicted by other living entities are called adhibhautika. For example, bedbugs can make us miserable while we are sleeping. Cockroaches can also sometimes give us pain. And there are other living entities born on different planets who can cause us misery. As far as the Adidhaivika miseries are concerned, these originate with the demigods of the higher planets. For instance, we sometimes suffer from severe cold weather, from thunderbolts, or from earthquakes, tornadoes, droughts, or other natural disasters. In any case, we are always suffering from one or more of these three kinds of misery. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining about the threefold miseries that we are all undergoing: Adhyatmic, Adhibaudik, and Adhidevik. So, he is explaining about these three, threefold miseries which we have dealt or discussed in detail in many earlier occasions. So Sanatana's inquiry was therefore an intelligent one. What is the position of the living entities? He asked. Why are they always undergoing these three kinds of miseries? Sanatana had admitted his weakness, although he was known by the masses of people as a greatly learned man, and he actually was a highly learned Sanskrit scholar. And although he accepted this designation, he did not know what his constitutional position was or why he was subjected to the threefold misery. So, as mentioned earlier, Sanatana is not an ordinary person. Although he accepts himself as a very simple and humble person, not having a right knowledge, you know, people call him scholarly because he was scholarly, he was a pandita, but he accepted that I don't have much knowledge about my real position, about my existence. So from that perspective, people told him that you are a great scholar, but he accepted that I don't know about myself. So this is the first question that he is putting forward to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You please let me know, who am I? Okay, this is a question he is first putting forward. And why am I suffering these threefold miseries? So approaching a spiritual master is not just a fashion, but is a necessity for one who is seriously conscious of the material miseries and who wants to be free from them. It is the duty of such a person to approach a spiritual master. In this regard, we should note Arjuna's similar circumstance in the Bhagavad Gita when he was perplexed by so many problems involving whether to fight or not. He accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master. As with Lord Chaitanya's instructing Sanatana Goswami, the Bhagavad Gita is also a case of the Supreme Spiritual Master instructing his disciple about the constitutional position of the divinity. So Prabhupada in the purport says that Arjuna was also put in the same situation. He didn't know who he was and what was his constitutional position and his occupational duty. So then to know this, you have to approach a person higher than you. He accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master. So how he accepted, what is the sloka? Stating that Arjuna accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master. What is the sloka? Can anyone say?
कार्पण्य दोषो बहदस
Yes, please recite that, Mataji.
कार्पण्य दोषो बहद स्वभावा पृच्छामि तं धर्म सम्मूढचेता यश्रेयस्यानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Very good. Yes. Who wants to explain about this translation of this in brief? Anybody else? What does it mean? What is the meaning? In brief, you can explain. Karpanya dosho pada swabhava. What is that? Can anybody explain the translation of that? Nobody? Okay, then I will call out the name if nobody comes forward. Okay, Ramani Mataji, would you like to try?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, yes. Mean.
Here in this sloka, Arjuna is saying that he's confused about his duty.
Yes.
And he's miserably weak. He's weak now. So in this condition, he's asking Krishna that, please instruct me what to do.
Yes.
I'm surrendering unto you.
Yes.
So this is my understanding, Prabhu.
Yes. Okay. Right, Mother. Exactly. Because of his miserly weakness, he is totally confused and in dilemma. He doesn't know what is right, what is wrong, what he has to do. So in that condition, I am accepting you as my spiritual master. Please instruct me. Yes, exactly. Good. Hari Bol Mataji. Thank you. Okay. So we all have to accept a spiritual master. On our own strength, it is not possible for us to understand, especially spiritual subject matters. You know. Other material matters, yes, we can, to a certain extent, it is easy for us to study because it's a process by research and investigation and experiment, isn't it? It's a process like that. It's a, what is that process called? Arohana, Pantha, right? That is an ascending process. But here, to find out about us, about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about the material nature and other spiritual subject matters, this process we cannot adopt. We will end nowhere. The Arohana process, the ascending process, we cannot take. We will not get anywhere. So we have to take the other process. What is that? Avarohana, that is descending process. No, that which is heard from the right authority. We have to hear from the right authority about ourselves, about the spirit soul, about the supreme spirit soul, about the material nature, about the spiritual abode, about the material world, about the creation, about the maintenance, about the dissolution. All these spiritual subject matters we should be able to understand only by approaching a spiritual master. Material knowledge, yes, to a certain extent it is possible by this ascending process, by experiment, by research, by reading some books and all. But spiritual knowledge we will not get like that. So we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master. So this is what Prabhupada says, or Sanatana Goswami is also referring to the same thing. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we are informed that the constitutional nature of the individual entity is spirit soul. He is not matter. As spirit soul, he is part and parcel of the supreme soul, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. We also learn that it is the duty of the spirit soul to surrender to the supreme soul, for only then can he be happy. The last instruction of Bhagavad Gita is that spirit soul should surrender completely unto the supreme soul Krishna, and in that way realize happiness. Okay, so what is the last instruction that Bhagavad Gita says? What is the sloka? Can anybody say? Which is referred in this para?
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य माम् एकं शरणं व्रज.
Yes, very good. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. So this is what is required. Only when the soul totally surrenders to the spirit, supreme soul, then we'll get the right understanding and we'll be relieved from all the sinful reactions and realize happiness. So this is exactly the Lord also wants all the jivas should surrender unto him unconditionally. The Lord then will impart the right knowledge and deliver us all from the sinful reactions. So it's a guarantee, ma suchaha. Do not worry. That's what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. So here also Lord Chaitanya answering the questions of Sanatana repeats the same truth. There is a difference. However, here Lord Chaitanya does not give the information about the spirit soul that's already described in the Bhagavad Gita. Rather, he begins from the point where Krishna ended his instruction. It is accepted by great devotees that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, and as such, he begins his instruction to Sanatana from the point where he ended his instruction to Arjuna in the Gita. Okay, so where Gita ends, actually Bhagavatam starts, and where Bhagavatam ends, Chaitanya Charitamrita starts. That's what Prabhupada say. Anyway, the instruction is that we have to surrender. Only when we surrender, then we'll be able to understand spiritual subject matters. Your constitutional position is that you are pure soul. The Lord told Sanatana, your material body is not your real self, nor is your mind your real identity, nor your intelligence, nor your false ego. If you ask a mundane person, people in this material world who doesn't know anything about spirituality, if you ask him, who are you? They will tell their name. Okay, I'm so and so. I'm, from so and so country. This is the identity. I'm an Indian, I'm an American, or I'm a doctor, or they may say, I'm son of so and so, I'm working so and so. These are the actual identity, any person from this material will explain. But the real identity is that the constitutional position of the living entity is that I'm a living soul. But we don't address like that. But at least the devotee knows that I am not this body, I am not this designation that has been decorated by my external body. The designation is that I am an Indian, I am white, I am black, I am doctor, I am engineer, I am wealthy. All these are all external decorations that the body has. But that remains only for this particular lifetime. We know this very well. At least since we are on this path of spirituality, we know this theoretically. Although all of us, to a certain extent, may be able to um, show also, but at least theoretically we know. But the people in the material world who are not into spirituality even doesn't know that they are spirit soul, and this body is going to perish. All these designations are also going to perish by the passing of time. So this is the pitiable condition of all the people who are not into spirituality. At least theoretically we know that because of the contamination that we have been carrying from time immemorial in different bodies, it is very difficult for us to practice it. But it's a matter of time. As we associate with devotees, constantly, more and more, we'll be advancing towards that right direction. So that's what we are doing. We're all trying. All of us are all in the same boat, trying to understand our real constitutional position and to practically apply that. It's a matter of time. So your identity is that of an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Jivera Surupa Hoye Krishnera Nityadas. So this is our identity. Does anyone say that? If you ask, what is your identity, what is your constitutional position? At least devotees, we says that. But if you ask any person, outside the group of devotees, they will not say, I'm Mr. President, I'm Mr. This, I'm this, that, like that. But at least some of, if you really ask what is their spirituality, Jivera Swarupa Hoye Krishnera Nityadas. We all know that. So your position is that you are transcendental. The superior energy of Krishna is spiritual in constitution, and the inferior external energy is material. Since you are between the material energy and the spiritual energy, your position is marginal. So, as we all know, there are three energies: the superior, inferior, and the marginal. We are all in the marginal energy. Belonging to the marginal potency of Krishna, you are simultaneously one with and different from him. That is the Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to instruct him. Because you are spirit, you are not different from Krishna. But because you are only a minute particle of Krishna, you are different from him. So we know this philosophy that we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are a particle of Krishna. We are minute and he is infinite. He is Vibhu, we are Anu. Because we are the part and parcel of Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Okay, because we are the Amsha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have all the qualities of that Supreme Person, but in quantity we lack. We don't have the 100% quantity as Krishna possesses. So this is what we understand. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami. Okay, this simultaneous oneness and difference always exists in the relationship between the living entities and the Supreme Lord. From the fact that the living entities are always in the marginal position. This conception of simultaneously one and different can be understood. The living entity is just like a molecular particle of sunshine, whereas Krishna is like a blazing sun itself. Lord Chaitanya also compared the living entities to sparks in the fire and the Supreme Lord to the blazing fire itself. In this connection, the Lord cited a verse from the Vishnu Purana, Ekadesha Sthidasyagnir Jotshana Vistarini Yatha Parasya Brahmana Shaktis Tathedam Akhilam Jagat. Everything manifested within the cosmic world is but the energy of the Supreme Lord. As fire situated in one place spreads its illumination and heat all around, so the Lord, although situated in one place in the spiritual world, manifests his different energies everywhere. Indeed, the whole cosmic creation is but a manifestation of his various energies. So the examples are given just like the sun and the heat and rays around the sun, okay, or the fire and the heat and the light around the sun. It's all coming from the same source. Similarly, we are also part and parcel of Supreme Lord. We have the same qualities, but not in quantity. So this is that, we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to understand that we are not independent. Okay? We are all dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our existence is the basis of our existence, or the source of our existence is Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what we have to understand. We are never independent. Okay? Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna. Paligama,
Please forgive me if I make any mistakes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashache Desatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sati Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Today I'm going to discuss text 17 and 18 in chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized. So I'll just read the sloka first. Text 17. Avinashi tu tat vidhi ena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Translation. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So before I'll go to the purport, I'll just quickly summarize what's going on from the beginning of this chapter 2. So first, Arjuna is lamenting that if I fight, my relatives will be killed, and I don't want my relatives to be killed. So for that, Krishna advised Arjuna, don't live in the ignorant bodily consideration and just raise to the enlightened spiritual conception. So in that note, you have to know that performing dharma is not going to harm anyone. So it brings only ultimate good to everyone. So to bring that ultimate good, if it involves some surgical cleansing, then that needs to be done. So from 2.11 to 2.30, Krishna speaks to Arjuna to fight. There is no death for soul. Whereas in this two particular sloka, 2.17 and 2.18, the common theme is the soul cannot be killed and the body cannot be saved from death. So therefore, Arjuna should not refrain from the necessity of war. So this implies that the Kauravas cannot escape death, even if Arjuna does not kill. So in this particular sloka 2.17, the soul pervades the entire body and is perceived as individual consciousness. So no one can destroy that imperishable soul. So I'll just move to the purport now, which is the main essence of this purport is it clearly explains the nature of the soul. Number one is symptom of soul, which is the individual consciousness. So the consciousness is spread all over our body. For example, one can experience the pain and the pleasure of the body. Each and everybody is embodied with individual soul. So one cannot perceive the pain and the pleasure of another's body. So the symptoms of the soul presence is perceived as individual consciousness. Next, Srila Prabhupada explains the size of the soul with reference from the Svetasvartara Upanishad. It says the soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. That is, when the upper point of the hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each part is further divided into 100 parts. Each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. So this is the spiritual atom smaller than the material atom. So this spark is the basic principle of the material body. So again, Srila Prabhupada gives a reference from Mandaka Upanishad for explaining the measurement of the atomic spirit soul. That is the size. The soul is atomic in size and it can be perceived by perfect intelligence. Atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of air, which is prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. Where what is the position of the soul? The soul is situated within the heart, and it spreads its influence all over the body as consciousness. Whereas what is the scientist's opinion here is, because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond their power of appreciation, they foolishly asserts that there is no soul. Next is the purification of soul. When the soul is purified from the contamination of 5 kinds of the material air, then its spiritual influences is exhibited. So Srila Prabhupada quotes Hatha Yoga here for the purification, Hatha Yoga as the purification of soul. So what is the purpose of Hatha Yoga is, this is to control the 5 kinds of the life airs. And this is not for the material benefits, but for the liberation of the minute soul from the material atmosphere. And how this is performed is with different sitting postures. So now I'll move on to the influences of soul all over the body. Even any layman can understand that a material body without consciousness is equal to dead body. So to explain this, there are 2 analogies. That active principle of the medicine which enters our body, that spreads all over our body. Like that, the current of the spirit soul is felt all over our body as consciousness. And the second analogy is, like the sun pervades the entire universe and it maintains it, similarly the light of the soul maintains the material body. So what is the conclusion here? The consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, and it cannot be revived by any amount of material administration. So what does Vedic science and modern science talk about soul? Both Vedic science and modern science accept that heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Whereas in Vedic science, the individual soul is present in the heart along with the super soul. And therefore, all energies of the body are emanating from the heart. Whereas in modern science, it accepts the importance of red corpuscles and the heart as a seat of all energies, but it cannot ascertain that the source of energy is soul. The next point is, one should never mistake atomic soul to be all-pervading Vishnu, all-pervading Vishnu Tattva, because the constitution of atomic soul is administrated in all Vedic literature and is also felt in the practical experience of any sane man. But only an insane man can think of an atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva, which is wrong. So the Atma which pervades the whole body is not the Paramatma. So we shouldn't mistake the atomic soul to be all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. Now, to compare the soul and super soul, such atomic particle of spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. The fragmental part of the Supreme Lord or atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord is called as Prabha or superior energy. So Srila Prabhupada finally explains, so whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body. And the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the Supreme Personality of God himself. So here ends the purport for 2.17. I'll move to text 18. I'll read the text first, which is Antavanta ime deha nityasyogatah sariranaha anasino apremayasya tasmat yudhyasva bharata. Translation. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. In this sloka, the first 3 lines clearly explains the material body is perishable, the embodied soul is eternal, the soul is indestructible and immeasurable. So therefore, O descendant of Bharata, fight. So I'll just move to the purport. First is body. The body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or after 100 years. It's just a matter of time. So what is the basic for acquiring the material body? One acquires the material body according to his own work. So what is the practical application here is observance of religious principles should be utilized to elevate. So one should observe the religious principles and utilize that to elevate, because one acquires the body according to their own work. So next comes the soul. Soul is indestructible. The soul is too minute to be seen by the enemy, what to speak of being killed. So as we have seen in the previous sloka, the soul is very tiny, because it says it is 1/10,000th the tip of the hair. So the soul is very tiny. It cannot be seen by anyone. It cannot be seen by enemy. What to speak of being killed? So as we know in Mahabharata, during the war, when Arjuna killed Bhishma, Bhishma was covered with arrows. The whole body is poked with arrows from all direction, by the arrows of Arjuna from the Kandiba. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it explains is that even one cannot put a finger in between the arrows. The arrows were so tight covering his body, but the arrow did not pervade the soul. It just wounded his body. So the soul pervades our body as consciousness, whereas a weapon or a bullet cannot pervade the soul. The soul cannot be pervaded by any material element, but the soul can pervade our whole body as consciousness. So the soul is indestructible. The soul is immeasurable. It is too small to be measured, and it is also eternal. Soul is not subject to material measurement. It is not material. It is not materially measured. There are dimensions. These dimensions are spiritual. The soul has spiritual dimensions. The soul itself is spiritual. The soul is so small that it just cannot be measured with our instrumental perception. The immeasurableness is not just because of the smallness. Definitely smallness is one factor, but along with that, it is because of its spiritual nature. So the soul itself is spiritual. So that is why it is not visible to our material eyes. So how does this verse help Arjuna to overcome lamentation and material compassion? Because the living entity cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time. So the spirit soul is important here, not the body. Because as soon as the spirit soul is out of the body starts to decompose. So Srila Prabhupada, with reference from Vedanta Sutra, explains that the living entity is qualified as light because of being the part and parcel of the supreme light. So what is the practical application for Arjuna based on this verse? Krishna is advising him to fight, not sacrifice the cause of religion for material or material bodily consideration. So because the body cannot be saved from death and the soul cannot be killed by any material weapons or bullet like that, so there is nothing to lamentate. So so Krishna is advising Arjuna to fight. So here ends the purport for text 18. I'll just quickly summarize the characteristics of soul as small points. So number one is soul is eternal and individual. Eternally individual. Soul is unborn. Soul is indestructible and eternal. So the soul never dies and the soul never takes birth. Soul is unborn. The soul is immeasurable because it's too small to be measured with any material means. The soul never undergoes change, like the body undergoes the 6 changes. The soul never undergoes any change. The soul is steady. Soul is immutable, never change like matter. And soul never becomes God. Soul cannot be cut, burnt, dry, or wet. Soul is immovable, unchangeable, everlasting, and eternally the same. The position of the soul is the region of the heart. How to perceive the soul is invisible and inconceivable. So symptoms of the soul is is present as individual consciousness. The only proof for the soul is in Vedic scriptures. So influence of soul is pervades the entire body, like sun pervades the entire universe. So effects on life air on soul. The soul is surrounded by 5 kinds of air, 5 kinds of life air, and Hatha Yoga helps in liberation. So these are the characteristics of soul explained in this whole chapter, actually, chapter 2. So I'll just finish here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna.